Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the sports stuff video. Today, we are talking about the comments that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam made last week about Deshaun Watson and the kind of moves that they did to get Deshaun Watson on the team. So if you guys do enjoy, please do like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into the video. So again, this is not gonna be a super long video. It's very precise and kind of like unscripted, uncoordinated, what I want to talk about. But I think it's very important that we bring up that Jimmy Haslam last week. There's a reason I let it sit for a week. I wanted to think about it. I want to go over, in my head a couple of times how it would actually impact the team. But the owner of the Cleveland Browns, Jimmy Haslam, said, "Listen, we took a big swing and a miss with Deshaun Watson, and all responsibility falls back on us as me and D Haslam, the owner of the Browns." So he said it was an organizational failure, but that he and D Haslam were to blame. Okay, so what does that signal to not only the fan base of the Browns, but the team of the Browns? What that tells me is that one, Deshaun Watson has never taken another snap with the Cleveland Browns. When you say we took a big swing and a miss on a quarterback trade and the guy's still on your team, that tells me he's never playing again, right? They're gonna pay him out the rest of his contract. He's definitely gonna be on the roster in 2025, but I believe 2026 is the last year of his deal. They might just cut him next league year, right? March of 2026. They might just cut him and eat that $80 million cap hit for a full season, but at least he's not on your team anymore. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. I think in 2025, he's going to be on IR the entire season. He retore his Achilles. I think once training camp happens and OTAs happen, we're going to see that Deshaun Watson had a setback in his recovery, because that's what they're going to tell the media. There's been a setback, and he's going to be on IR for the entire season. So Deshaun Watson's going to get his money, right? No matter what, he's going to get his money. The issue is how can the team move on from him, right? Because obviously, a good GM does miss occasionally, right? I think we can all agree that Andrew Berry, for the most part, when it comes to trades, has hit, right? He traded for Amari Cooper for a fifth-round pick. He traded for Jerry Jeudy for a fifth-round pick. He traded for Darius Smith for a sixth-round pick. He traded for Elijah Moore with a trade-up. Like, he has done really good trades. And honestly, the trade with Deshaun Watson is horrendous. The contract they paid him was horrendous. But what makes a good GM isn't about the swings that you miss. It's how do you recover from those missed swings. And so far, I think the Browns have done a pretty good job recovering from that missed swing. They set up a situation where they have Kenny Pickett under contract for another year or two. They traded a fifth-round pick for him this offseason. He's a backup quarterback, has shown some promise, but I just don't want him to be my starter. But I think there's something in the works, right? You had a 3-14 season. You had the number 2 overall pick. If you want to take Shedeur Sanders, you can. If you want to take Travis Hunter, you can. Abdul Carter, you can. Whatever. But I think it's going to happen is after Jimmy D Haslam admitted that it was their fault that the trade happened, that they take all blame, that tells me that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have 2 to 3 more years in the Cleveland Browns organization, right? I think that tells me that the Haslams were the driving force to trade for Deshaun Watson. They wanted to pivot off Baker Mayfield, and they told Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, "Hey, listen, we want Deshaun Watson. We're willing to pay him whatever he wants." So what probably happened was on a Monday, the Browns inquired about Deshaun Watson. Said, "Hey, what does Deshaun want?" "Oh, Deshaun wants a really big contract." "Okay, we'll give him a good sized contract, and here's a trade package." Deshaun goes, "I'm not going to Cleveland. No chance in hell." They said, "Okay, we'll let our owners know Deshaun Watson doesn't want to be in Cleveland." So then Andrew Berry goes to Jimmy D Haslam. They then say, "No, we will give him the best contract, fully guaranteed. Trade for him." And Andrew Berry will go, "Yeah, but they didn't really like the trade package. That's fine. Give them whatever they want and give Deshaun whatever they want, because we want to take a swing on a top 10 quarterback." So they go back to Houston. Andrew Berry says, "Hey, Deshaun, we'll give you $250 million fully guaranteed, and Houston will give you 3 first-round picks." Everyone is happy. Everyone gets what they wanted. Jimmy D Haslam, they took a swing on a quarterback. Andrew Berry trades for a top 10 quarterback at the time. Deshaun gets a lot of money and a chance to start for a team on up and up. And Houston gets 3 first-round picks. Like, everyone was happy the day of the trade. But I think the driving force was Jimmy D Haslam, and I think that tells me that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski were willing to move on from the trade. They were willing to say, "You know what? That's fine. Deshaun doesn't want to be here. We don't want to give him that big contract. We don't want to trade all those first-round picks. That's fine. Let's tell the owners." The owners said, "No, we want him. Make it. Like, do what you gotta do." So I think it's very important that they came out this late into the trade and finally admitted that they're the ones that will take responsibility for it. And that tells me that Andrew Berry is his job is safe. Kevin Stefanski, his job is safe. That's what that tells me, is that these guys are not going anywhere for at least another 2 to 3 years. They're going to get to be able to draft a young quarterback and give him a few years to develop him. Now, is that young quarterback in this class? That's the question. I think what's in the works currently is that the Browns are going to be trading for Kirk Cousins the day of the draft, right? It's already been known that Kirk Cousins have said, with my no trade clause, I will not go to a team that drafts a quarterback high in the NFL draft. I did it last year in Atlanta, and I lost my starting job. It will not happen again wherever I go next time. So Kirk Cousins wants to start. Atlanta's willing to keep him as a backup, but they want to draft capital, obviously. So I think what's going to end up happening is the day of the first round of the draft, the Browns are going to take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at number 2. That's going to signal to Kirk Cousins, okay, the Browns are not taking Shedeur Sanders at the top of the draft. Now, do the Browns trade back up into the first round for Shedeur Sanders? That's a conversation we can have. But I think that'll signal to Kirk Cousins, okay, they're willing to put their draft capital where their mouth is and not take a quarterback at number 2 like the Atlanta Falcons did with Kirk Cousins, with Michael Penix. So let's just say Shedeur doesn't go to the Browns in the first round of the draft. All right, let's just say that's what happens. Shedeur goes number 8 to the Raiders, or number 6 to the Raiders. At number 33, where the Browns then pick, I think there'll start being rumors that the Browns are making a trade. And I think the Browns will trade a 3rd-round pick for Kirk Cousins. And I think Kirk Cousins will be the quarterback of the Browns next year. So at 33, the Browns can take a running back, Jahad Campbell if he's still there at linebacker. Whatever they want to do, they'll take an option at number 33. But they're going to trade very early in the day of, either at the end of day 1 or at the beginning of day 2, there will be a trade for Kirk Cousins to the Browns. It's already been rumored that Kirk Cousins wants to go to Cleveland, that he wants Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, they have a lot of mutual trust with each other. One of Kirk's best years in Minnesota was under Kevin Stefanski. I fully believe that we will see a Kirk Cousins end of day 1, beginning of day 2 trade, where the Browns trade a 3rd-round pick for Kirk Cousins. And that's what's going to be the deal. You know, the Falcons will eat half the salary, the Browns will take on half the salary, and they'll give a 3rd-round pick. Because I think if they don't eat half the salary, the Browns only give up a 4th-round pick. But I believe as of right now, the Browns and the Falcons have that trade set in stone. That's the reason why the Browns have not signed a legitimate starting quarterback. They traded for Kenny Pickett as an interesting backup option. That's what he was. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think, before the clock strikes for day 2 to start, for round 2 to start, that trade will happen. Kirk Cousins is the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns next year. At number 33, they'll grab someone that can help the roster, maybe a running back, linebacker, wide receiver. So they have that. And then in the 3rd round, they'll draft Jalen Milroe. Now, will Jalen Milroe actually be there? I don't know. I still think Jalen Milroe is a really good quarterback. I think he obviously has his ups and downs. He has his issues. But at the end of the day, I think Jalen Milroe has everything that he needs to develop and succeed. But I think there has to be an agreement that they can't take him at 33. And I think that's going to be an issue, that the Browns would want to take Jalen Milroe at 33 if he's still there. But Kirk Cousins, I don't want that to happen. And I think they will honor that for at least 1 year, that Kirk Cousins will be traded to the Browns and they'll take a quarterback in 2026. And maybe all the rumors are that Jalen Milroe and Tommy Reese and whatever, maybe that's not true. Because I do think there is mutual interest in Jalen Milroe and the Browns because of Tommy Reese. And maybe, again, like I said, maybe they are giving that leash that, hey, 2025, grab Kirk Cousins, let him start for a year, maybe even 2 years. And in 2026, you can trade up for Lenore Sellers, take Arch Manning, whatever happens, right? Maybe that's what they agree on. And maybe that's because Jimmy and D Haslam take responsibility for Deshaun Watson, has opened up the possibility that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, their jobs are safe for 2 years. So they're going to get 2025 for sure, right? There's no chance to get fired in 2025. They're going to trade for Kirk Cousins. They'll win 7 to 12 games, and everyone will be really good about the franchise again. Then in 2026, that's when they take their quarterback. That's the year that they swing on their quarterback, right? Whether it's Dylan Raiola or whoever you want to say it is, that's when they swing on their quarterback. And I think they have opened that possibility is now open of them not taking a quarterback in 2025 because of the rumors that, or not the rumors, the statement that the Haslam's made. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the NFL, the Cleveland Browns this year. I never thought anyone would actually admit that it was a failure. I thought that was something that everyone kind of agreed on. But you can't say that as an owner, we took a swing and a miss for a guy who's still on your roster. He's still on the team. and they admitted, yeah, we messed up trading for him. So they said, give us full responsibility, me and D Haslam. That tells me that they're going to get a chance to draft a quarterback in the next 2 drafts to draft and develop. So I think Kirk Cousins, them trading for him during the NFL draft, will be the year gap that they take with him and Kenny Pickett. That will be the quarterback room. Maybe they do draft a Tyler Shaw in the 5th, maybe in the 3rd or 4th round of Will Howard. Maybe they take one of those high upside guys later in the draft. But I fully believe that at number 2, at number 33, and at number 64, because I don't think they'll be trading 64. I know they'll probably be ending up trading the 97 pick, whatever, that comp pick that they got. It'll be very interesting to see what they do, because I don't think they're going to take a quarterback early. I think they're going to build this team a little bit more. They're going to grab Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter at 2. They'll grab Jahad Campbell or Caleb Johnson or someone at 33. And the 3rd, grab a tight end. And then the other 3rd can be traded for Kirk Cousins. Lets you for a full year, just draft, develop the team in 2025. Then in 2026, you use whatever draft capital you can to move up and take your quarterback of the future. That's my prediction. Very interesting to actually see the owners admit that they made a mistake to a guy who's actually on the roster. But yeah, I thought it would have been like 5 years from now when he's off the team, they would have admitted it. But if you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. Again, at the end of the season, at the end of this month with the NFL draft, I will be going live for my 5th annual sports stuff draftathon. So if you guys do want to tune in, that'll be the Thursday and the Friday of the NFL draft. More info will come. But I will talk to you guys later. Peace and goodbye.